I was going to ask you that very question. Did you ever expect to see this happen to this degree in your lifetime? So in other words, this has gone beyond what you thought would even, you have in a short period of time, what has happened, you thought would happen after you and I were gone from this planet. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, I think it would pick up momentum, but it would not be that bad. And everything is coming so fast. I just talked to some of my contacts and friends, and in the last couple of days, they have been seeing people putting Stars of David painted on homes.
In fact, go to my screenshot. Go to my screenshot. I think I have a picture of that, guys. That's on our system tonight. Look at that.
That's what I sent you. And
you're the one that sent that to me.
Just a couple of miles away from a friend of mine who's doing Jewish ministry over there in France, and he's very concerned. Now, you got to understand, Brandon, you look at a picture like this, and to me, it immediately takes me back, not that I was alive there, but historically, I've studied all this. It takes me back to 1938, November 9, 10, 1938, Kristallnacht. We are seeing the making of Kristallnacht 2.0 right now.
And for those who don't know, Kristallnacht, the night of the broken glass, where they marked the shops of the Jewish shop owners and broke their glass and hauled some of the men off to concentration camps, which was then the official beginning of the Holocaust, according to many historians. Yes. Correct, Olivier?
Exactly. Kristallnacht 1938 was the official date. That's not what they called it when it happened, but looking back in history, the historians agreed that Kristallnacht, November 9, 10, the night of November 9, 10, 1938 was the official day, start of the Holocaust. That everybody agrees on that. And so what we're looking at right now in France, and here it is, Brandon, France, or Europe for that matter, they don't have the Second Amendment.
Mm. And here we are, so we are on October 31st. And so we're just about now 9 days from that anniversary, which makes me wonder if anyone is going to try to, because to a lot of these guys, they like dates,
Yeah.
They like dates. We saw Israel attacked, here in 2023. Remember, it was Yom Kippur, 1973. And the Islamists, by the way, they love dates. They like to do things on certain dates. So I guess I'm going to be watching to see if anyone tries to make an issue of this on November 9th.
Give you some perspective on some stats here. In France, the whole year, this year, I think there was 400 incidents that were reported on anti-Semitism until October 7th. And from October 7th to today, just in the last few weeks, 829 incidents. Just in France. So in the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, in the last 3 to 4 weeks, double what happened the rest of the year in that country. And just in France, but it's all over the world. You see what's happening on the campuses in the USA. The only positive, and it's not that much of a positive, but the only positive that I can see is that now the anti-Semites are clearly identifying themselves. We know exactly who they are. There's no hiding behind anything else. They're out to get the Jews, which is very scary, and we know who they are. And they're coming out from Hollywood, from the schools, from the government. They're coming out from all the places I've told you and my audience for the last 2 decades.
I got a video of CNN, Olivier. CNN actually talking about the horrors of anti-Semitism, and I was stunned that it was CNN. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm finding myself listening to some liberals going, what? I'm listening to some liberals who are more articulate on this issue than some of them on the right. In fact, it's some of the people on the right that are spewing the anti-Semitism. And I'm watching some of these leftists. You look good. But I'm like, how are the people on the left? How are the people on the left saying the things that sound like you and me, Olivier?
Well, not only that, Brandon, but I've been saying for years now, the biggest puzzling mystery that I could not come up with an answer for this was, why do Jews keep voting Democrat when really the left is not their friend at all? And I used to, we've been saying this in my circles for a while now. It's going to take something really bad that's going to happen to the Jewish community in America for the Jews to start going, okay, you know what, I've got to vote conservative. And I think, unfortunately, this is what's happening right now.
Well, let's play this clip.
Jewish people.
Let's play this clip because this was shocking, Olivier. I don't know if have you seen this? Did you see what CNN broadcast? Have you seen this?
I don't think I have.
I was shocked it was CNN, and I have to say, good for them. Watch and listen to this.
I don't remember seeing anything like this. We surely didn't when we were on college campus. And I mean, shame on these university heads and leadership at these schools from all over the country, because we're seeing these images coming.
Why are leaders, school presidents, school boards at these large universities afraid to speak unequivocally about things like this?
I don't know. There are plenty of other issues they felt that they can address head on. And yet when it comes to the issue of anti-Semitism, there's always this veiled, well, it's complicated, it's Israel, it's Zionism. No, it is unadulterated anti-Semitism. And when you're speaking out about Hamas murdering not just Israelis, they murdered Jews. You have to just say that outright. That is an issue that's affecting Jews around the world. And now it's created a scenario, and we've talked about it on this show. And God bless the United States of America. And I am so happy to live in the U.S. as a Jew. But to have conversations with family members, with friends, with loved ones, what are you doing? Are you taking your mezuzah down? What are you talking to your college students about? It is unacceptable. Are we kidding ourselves? In 2023, there's no other issue, whether they're social justice movements, anything else that we've looked forward as progressive citizens of the world that we haven't addressed head on. And yet this is the one issue we keep coming back to that we have to be, sort of equivocal about here. And that there's nothing to hold us back from standing up for the rights of Jews, the rights of Muslims, the rights of all minorities, and say, in this environment, in this day and age, it is unacceptable to be saying death to Jews, death to Israelis, death to Zionism, whatever it is. But every morning, there's a pit in my stomach waking up and seeing these headlines.
And look, if you're going to say never again, we have to remember, what was October 7th? That was the biggest slaughter of Jews since the Holocaust in a single day.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, there wasn't even a 24-hour period of mourning before it became victim blaming, two sides to this story. No, it is not difficult for college campus leadership to come out and say what happened on October 7th was a massacre. It was unacceptable. And we will do everything we can to protect our Jewish students, just as well as we will protect our Muslim students and every other minorities on our campuses.
Yeah, thank you very, very much. And we do want to continue this conversation with this.
I mean, I guess all I can say is thank you, CNN, right?
Brennan, they got it right. That woman, she got it right. I mean, it's about Jews. It is not, nobody believes that it's about a two-state solution. It's about getting rid of all the Jews in Israel and in the world. And this woman has it right. It's not about Israelis. It's about Jews. It's anti-Semitism. It's from the devil. It's from the pit of hell. And we have to speak up.
More truth spoken there on CNN than most Protestant evangelical churches in America the last couple Sundays since October 7th. Hang right there with you. And isn't that what's happening? Isn't that what's happening? The global persecution of Christians and Jews and conservatives by the red-green axis and a false church. And we have many of these so-called evangelicals that are into the anti-Semitism. We just played a clip from CNN. More truth presented by CNN on this topic than the average evangelical church in America. I'm talking to friends around the country. Their pastors aren't even talking about it. They didn't even say anything about it other than just in a really relatively short minute or so, they made a comment, but did not bring any biblical analysis, no Christian worldview analysis to it. And some of them discounted it altogether. Some didn't even mention it. And many people are emailing and texting me that their pastors said nothing or saying nothing because they believe that Israel's been replaced by the church. Replacement theology. Replacement theology is another masking term for anti-Semitism. And we saw AOC the other day say that the fundamentalist Christians are responsible for what happened in Israel. So let's go back to our friend Olivier Melinick, because Olivier, we saw these houses and we had the graphic we showed a while ago of homes marked with stars in Paris, France, I think you said, which again is very troubling at many, many levels. But it's not only troubling, it's personal, because you have a personal story coming out of France related to the Holocaust in your family, do you not?
Yes, my mother's father.
So your grandfather
my grandfather was taken by the Gestapo in 1942 out of the house where I grew up. He was given away by a neighbor who lived upstairs, and he was taken by the Gestapo, and he died in Auschwitz within about a week or so. He got there, and he died right away. And so I have, it's a personal thing to me. My mother ended up in the south of France, hiding until the end of the war on a farm.
Who by the way, how did she survive?
She survived because this family of farmers ended up helping her and her two cousins to shelter them and hide them on the farm for the last 2 years of the war. And they became righteous among the nations at Yad Vashem. In 2013, they were posthumously recognized as righteous among the nations. They helped Jews during the war. We're going to need more of these people very soon, my friend.
So we're talking about righteous Gentiles.
Yes.
And
yes, and there's a passage of scripture in Matthew 25:31 through 46, the parable of the goats and the sheep. I believe it's going to take place during the tribulation, and the 7-year tribulation, which is going to be terrible, and we're not there yet. And I believe that the church is going to be raptured before the tribulation, but these Gentiles during the tribulation, the sheep, they're going to help the Jews. They're going to do a lot of good to shelter, to protect, to feed, to hide Jews. And when Yeshua, Jesus, returns at the end of the tribulation, he says, whatever you've done to them, you've done to me. And so I'm looking at this and I think there's a principle we can take and apply today. The Jews today in America need Gentiles to be ready to take them in. They are going to be knocking on your doors. They're going to say, I know you, you're a Christian. You say you love Israel. Can you help? The Gentile Christians who love Israel today need to be ready to shelter their Jewish friends and Jewish neighbors. It's coming. It's here.
You know, I think it was 2 weeks ago I did a segment on the fact that will American Christians have to hide Jews? I know it was a segment I was titled. If people go to worldyoutube.com, you'll find it. Will American Christians have to hide Jews? I'm afraid the answer might be yes. I don't know about you, but I've been checking in with some of my Jewish friends the last few days. Just checking in with them, letting them know we're here. If you need anything, come. Let us know about it. We're here to help. Others are doing the same thing.
Absolutely, Brendan. And if I may, if anybody in your audience or within the sound of my voice is interested in finding out more about what they can do to shelter Jews, they can email me at oliviermelnick4truth@gmail.com. I will connect them with a network that can let them know how they can help. And we're not taking donations. This is a network that is helping people getting ready to shelter Jews.
Can you give that again? Give that again.
Yes, Olivier Melnick, 4, truth. Olivier Melnick 4truth@gmail.com. Email me and tell me, my name is so-and-so. I want to help Jewish people. I'll do the rest.
Okay, good. Excellent. You mentioned Matthew 25. Jesus says, that passage, I was a stranger and you welcomed me. I was in prison and you visited me. That passage is, I agree, it is about how the followers of God, the followers of Yeshua, are treating other followers of Yeshua. And indeed, how, whether it's tribulation saints or fellow Jews, helping fellow Jews, or tribulation saints, helping their Jewish brothers and sisters who have come to faith in Yeshua, such as you have, that passage is used all the time by the Evangelical Immigration Roundtable and a bunch of guys and gals who were the heads of various Protestant church denominations, using that passage for social justice. I have the video. I could show it, but we won't waste time tonight. They used that passage for social justice. I was a stranger and you welcomed me. And they used it for immigration issues. The thing has nothing to do with immigration, and the very passage it has to do with, these hirelings, these wolves. Let me tell you, one of the few people you guys can trust in America, I hate to say it, are religious leaders. That's who largely crucified Christ. So no shock. You cannot trust most religious leaders, even the Protestant evangelicals. You cannot trust most of them. You better do a serious inventory as to who you are following and what they teach. But these clowns, they not only use that passage to do with immigration, but here's the chance to actually use it in context with what's happening. But yet most of them, I believe most of them buy into the anti-Semitism through replacement theology. What says you?
That passage in the context is Gentiles who were left behind, who became believers. And after they became believers, they understood the importance of the Jewish people in God's plan, and they wanted to reach out and help the Jews. There's no other context that this can be taken in. The principle of Gentiles helping Jews can be moved up a bit, and we can apply that today before the tribulation.
Yes.
But it's Gentiles reaching out to Jews, and right now we are desperately in need of trustworthy Gentile Christians who are willing to help Jews, because it's the right thing to do. Because God said in Genesis 12:3, I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse him who curses you. God is a God of his word, and he's expecting us to have a special place in our heart for the Jewish people. And you do, Brandon, and I thank you for that.
Yeah, well, thank you. You know, I was raised by a mother and father that talked about these kind of issues, and I still remember as an elementary child the movie The Hiding Place, and I think I was too young to go see it, but I remember the night they all went to see it in the theaters and hearing it discussed. And then, of course, the Christian school I went to. Made sure that all of us saw the black and white reel-to-reel footage. That's when we actually, would have them roll an AV cart into the room and use reel-to-reel, right? And they rolled that AV cart into the room on more than one day, and they showed the black and white footage of the Holocaust and taught us all about it, showed the horrific footage, and made sure that we as Protestant Christian kids at a Christian school understood the horrors of the Holocaust and what it was about. And so I think this is a lost thing. And I think anyone that...
There was a I forgot his name. I think it's Gabriel Schoenberg, maybe. I think he wrote an article in the Atlantic. Not, I think it's a liberal paper, but he said something very, very powerful. It was a few years ago. He said the inoculation of the Holocaust has worn off, and basically, people don't remember, don't care. It's just like it's not that important to them anymore. And here we are, like it was mentioned many times. October 7th was the heaviest death toll in the worldwide Jewish community in one day since the Holocaust. And if they could have done a lot more, they would have done a lot more. So, and it's not going to stop, Brandon. It's not stopping. The beast is out of the bag. It's not stopping now. The anti-Semitism is going to continue. I believe it's going to continue non-stop, thick and thin. There might be some respite, but it's going to continue non-stop until after the rapture. And the peace is not going to come back until Yeshua, Jesus, returns at the end of the tribulation. But it doesn't mean that before the rapture, we cannot do whatever we can to help.
We're about to have Dr. Andy Woods and Dr. Rob Lindstedt on. One of the things we're going to talk about is how all this is setting the stage for the Antichrist. What is your view on that? I know Dr. Woods and Dr. Lindstedt disagree. Dr. Woods thinks the Antichrist will be a Gentile. Dr. Lindstedt thinks the Antichrist is going to be Jewish. Good theologians who agree on 99.9% of things can disagree on this issue. It's not a salvific issue per se at all. But what is your thought on that?
I think I would tend to agree with Dr. Andy Woods. I don't think the the Antichrist is going to be Jewish. And one of the main reasons why people think he's going to be Jewish, there's two of them, is because number one, he will, in Daniel, it says he will have no respect for the God of his fathers. And it sounds like it's a Jewish idiom. And then, which is, speaking of the Antichrist. And then the other one is the fact that people confuse what he's going to be doing with Israel. They say, well, he's going to sign a covenant with Israel, and he would have to be Jewish. He would never sign a covenant. He's not signing a covenant. He's signing a peace treaty.
Do they not see? Do the Jewish people not see him as their Messiah, though? The long-awaited Messiah?
No. They're going to see him as a guy who's going to bring peace in the region, and so they've signed peace treaty with Jordan, with Egypt. They were about to sign some kind of a normalization agreement with Saudi Arabia before this war broke up. So they will sign a peace treaty with the Antichrist. And he will, of course, break his promise, and everything is going to go south. But it's not a covenant, like in the sense of biblical covenant, between God and Israel and the Jewish people. So I think he's going to be from the revived Roman Empire. So I really think he's going to be a Gentile. And most likely, something that we have to understand, Brandon, is that Satan knows the Bible very well, but Satan is not omniscient. So Satan has had an Antichrist in his pocket throughout the ages, ready to push him up on the scene when it's the right time. And when that person dies, because they're human used by Satan, empowered by Satan, when a person dies, he's going to, groom another one. So there's somebody ready right now, I believe. I don't know who that is, but there's somebody ready right now. And if the rapture was to happen tonight, if this is a signless event, could happen anytime, then Satan's got to get busy, because the Antichrist is going to sign that peace treaty.
So you agree, though, then you and I and Dr. Woods and Dr. Lindstedt, we all agree that what is going on right now is setting the stage with all of the catastrophe, the war, the rumors of wars, plagues, pestilence, the economic crisis. All of this chaos is setting the stage for a strong man to show up on the world scene and stop all of this and prepare for the world leader.
Without a doubt, Brandon, without a doubt, we are setting the stage. Everything is falling into place, and at a lot faster than I thought it would ever take place in my own lifetime.
Give your website.
Two things: newantisemitism.com for my articles and on my website, and also my YouTube channel. Please visit that channel. I put a lot of videos on that channel today through Jewish
We'll be right back.